This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. Stress can occur in all our lives and derives from different factors nowadays. It can be described as an emotional, mental, and physical torture or strain that is associated with anxiety or overwork. The stress resulting from waiting in anticipation is a kind of stress that can be controlled. One of the most challenging and frustrating experiences is to wait. Many things always make us wait. Most people in the process of waiting lose their patience and become bored and angry, and this eventually leads to anxiety. The mood of an individual influences the feelings of anxiety. Depending on the mood, the waiting time can be minimized or increased. This is because the amount of time that is wasted during waiting is a perception. For instance, most of the waiting process of emptying a cruise ship to get your luggage can undoubtedly be frustrating. Factors that make waiting frustrating. One factor that makes waiting frustrating is the fact that one is thoroughly aware of time. In most cases, a minute can feel like hours, and this plunges a person into gloom. Most of the time wasted on waiting is a result of mistakes made by someone. For example, some of the patients arrive at hospitals for their appointment 1 hour earlier, and then they later complain about the long time they have to wait in the queues. Concerning the stresses associated with sitting in a traffic jam, it is necessary to learn to adopt ways to reduce stress. For example, favorite music or turning on a favorite radio station helps calm the body tension. There are many ways of managing this kind of stress. However, despite various ways, it is not easy to be prepared to face stress daily. Some strategies that might work include taking a book or iPod with you to keep busy with this distraction being absorbed in reading, thus reducing the factors causing boredom. Controlling daily frustrations. Frustration is a typical and convincing expressive reaction to daily obscurities. Some irritation may be part of daily living, but tremendous disappointment has serious penalties. In many cases, frustrations can come from putting a lot of energy into transforming the things that cannot be changed or situations beyond control. Everyone can minimize the effects of trauma in daily living as it occurs. Anticipation and waiting can undoubtedly be extraordinarily stressful. Almost in everyone's life, there are cases when one has to wait for something on different occasions, whether to sit in traffic or wait in long queues in the cafeteria and banks. However, it is possible to learn to manage these stresses with practice. The first step to controlling the stress is to recognize it. Many people live in stressful situations that they even have forgotten what a fantastic feeling it is to be in a relaxed state. Expectations and anticipation throughout daily life play a significant role in affectivity emotions. These states can be positive or negative. Waiting in anticipation can cause disappointment, negative surprise, and psychological torture. However, the positive effects of waiting in anticipation create relief and fulfillment. There tends to be negative impacts of waiting, as no one knows what is to be expected, and, therefore, the feelings of being threatened come as a result. Physical calming down can be appropriately used to intervene. For example, engaging in a simple activity helps calm down. Other physical measures include counting to 10, taking long and deep breaths, walking, and trying to collect thoughts. The standard practice of recreation techniques can also help in managing frustrating conditions. Try such a form of relaxation exercise for a few minutes every day. Sitting comfortably in a quiet place can help alleviate the daily frustrations. Controlling the breathing using different techniques teaches to take slow, deep breaths that help in relaxing. In the process of taking slow, deep breaths, a feeling of safety may sometimes appear. Staying in a restful place and repeating a calming word or phrase aid in calming the body and emotions. In case of standing in a long queue in a bank or at a restaurant, the best way is to try to pick up a conversation with someone around. This will ease the chances of being conscious of time passing. The best way to avoid becoming angry is to avoid the instances that can lead to being enraged. Humor is one of the many forms that can be used to blow up stress. This is because being enraged will not speed up the process or reduce the time wasted. In any case, being irritated will result in increased blood pressure and ulcers, and eventually lead to heart disease. Reactions to stress. When an event occurs, there is no time or chance to think over the actions on how to handle the situation. Taking immediate action can be impulsive and cause many mistakes. The moment an individual responds to the event rather than reacts to it causes frustration. The easiest way to avoid stressful conditions is rather through acceptance of the daily events than through trying to find out the causes of the problems. This can be the cheapest and the most effective way of changing feelings of frustration. Cursing, regretting, and blame affect mostly an individual him/herself, leading to stress development. In daily life, it is easy to get annoyed and frustrated reacting to an event. As a result, frustration ends up in overeating. However, sometimes, we are concerned with a problem that does not even exist. Even if the problem exists, sometimes, there is no solution for the events. Several processes take place the moment before the outburst of emotions arises from frustration. A picture of the event runs through a person's mind and results in intensive helplessness as an individual thinks she cannot influence or change the situation. This consequently fires feelings of frustration. Controlling emotions in the moment of frustration requires a lot of effort to be done as the feelings tend to intensify the frustration. Conclusion. In conclusion, there are 3 most common ways of managing stress. These include the following. First, accept that frustration is common in daily life and cannot be easily avoided. The second way of frustration management is through the use of stress as a lesson and moving forward in an effort to get over it instead of being taken up with the same situation, which does not help anyway. The third way is through the formulation of new ideas aimed at creating new beliefs in one. This includes the understanding and acceptance that there are better ways of handling stressful conditions than the ones that are already existing. In addition, the choices made in situations affect the level of stress in daily life. Expressing frustration through art and illustration is one of the best ways of expressing feelings and taking notes of one's everyday life. The choice of avoiding frustration leads to better outcomes in the future. It is advantageous to believe that all that happens has a purpose in life. Focusing on positive intentions, which bring positive purpose, leads to a more comfortable and peaceful life. Did you like this frustration and stress managing sample? To get more works like this one, make sure to check out the database of academic paper examples at ivpanda.com. You will find thousands of samples for all your study needs.